It's that time once again, everybody. It's time for Warning Shots. Welcome back. I am your host, John Sherman, joined by my friends, the phenomenal Michael of the Lethal Intelligence YouTube channel, by my friend Liron Shapiro of the Doom Debates YouTube channel. He's fantastic as well. Every week we get together to talk about the headlines and AI risk, talk about what is a warning shot, what might not be. Man, last week we had a lot of real warning shot stuff. This week, the hits just keep coming. It seems like things are moving very quickly, but there are some things of moving in good directions, I think, too. And I think it's important to note that things can change very quickly in the wrong direction, and things can change very quickly also in the right direction. And it seems like in some ways that's kind of what's happening out here. So let's get to our first story. We have another AI safety letter with a bunch of people signing it, but this one I think is very promising and potentially very powerful. We have more than 1,000 employees of the AI labs themselves, of the big AI companies, signing a letter, and it basically says, please, somebody, government, somebody help us slow down, help us help ourselves. Liron, we'll go to you. Look at this. The audience loves it. Yeah. We have these employees who go to work every day making the kill everyone machine, who are saying, hey, guys, we don't want to kill everyone, so maybe someone help us stop making this machine. I don't know. Liron, what's going on with this letter?
Life comes at you fast, man. We're already here. It just feels like yesterday there was this big outcry on social media in 2023 when Eliezer Yudkowsky said, hey, we need to stop this. It's too late. We got to pause. And everybody was like, come on, you doomers. Nobody who really understands this technology thinks that it's a threat. At the time, we had the CTO of Microsoft saying, don't worry, guys. I know this technology. It can't really escape. It's fine. This is an overreaction. Okay, smash cut. Here we are, 2026. I don't know what other people think is so different now, but they're finally. I mean, I do know, right? It's the recent news that we're going to cover, but they're finally like, okay, yeah, this is where we're getting ahead of our skis. And I'm like, yeah, you think? So I'm glad you guys are coming around. I'm glad you're using language like, okay, we need to pace AI. I'm glad so many employees of the AI companies are signing it. The leaders of the AI companies are signing it, or Anthropic and OpenAI have officially signed it. So, I'm glad. And the only question is just, is it going to be too little too late? There's a lot of milquetoast language. They're not super direct about extinction risk and how bad it is. But I think there's consensus that this is like a positive update, that we're doing something. So hooray.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've talked for a long time about like how can you go to work knowing this is what you're doing and keep coming back and doing it? So it is good to see some concern on their part. I will say, I totally agree with Liron. Like, I got into this thing in 2023 when I read Eliezer's article in Time Magazine that said if we build machines smarter than us, they're just going to kill us all. Everything he literally said in that article is literally just coming true in a very short period of time. So, like, anybody who is feigning surprise at like, oh my goodness, how could we ever have gotten to this point? It strikes me as a little, I don't know what to say about that. But Michael, what do you think? They're coming forward. We got 1,000+ employees saying, please help us not cause very bad things to happen in the world. What do you think?
So they're not really asking for a pause today. They're asking for the ability to buy time later, if and when AI starts automating its own research. This recursive self-improvement thing we're discussing about. So I think it's a story about competitive pressure. Labs and countries face intense incentives to not to slow down on their own. Automated AI research, the recursive improvement thing, will turn that race into something closer to a chain reaction. And they're saying, okay, I think they're being candid about it. That and basically the signatories are the people closest to this. So when the chief scientists of the leading labs and a large fraction of the technical staff all put their names on this public statement, it's not abstract speculation. It's a real warning. And of course, the hard part remains. Designing technical verification that works under this very low trust and governance that can actually constrain compute, and international buy-in. That includes, it's very difficult to do. So those problems are real. They're not solved, but there is directionally correct. At least we are acknowledging, which is a necessary first step, that we need to do something.
Yeah. And I don't know what the total number of employees of these companies are, but it seems like, a large swath of them signed this. I'm curious, maybe internally, who decided to sign it and not to sign it, and what their thoughts were around it. Like, if you're the employee that still didn't sign it, that's an interesting person, Liron. What do you think?
Well, I can tell you what Rune is saying because he's a good bellwether. You want to look at Rune if you want to see what's the vibe at OpenAI. I feel like that's like a good role that he plays, right? He's the vibe check for OpenAI, and his
And
vibe
just
has
real quick for
been
folks who don't know, Rune is like an anonymous character on the internet who works at OpenAI and says a lot of things that it sometimes prove to be true later. Yeah,
exactly, but he's not super anonymous. Like I've met him in person, so he's kind
yeah,
of almost anonymous, but not really anonymous. But yeah, whatever. He's good at playing that angle. He's very talented at what he does. So the Rune vibes recently are worth mentioning because he's very sober and serious about it. He's like, guys, I don't want to mince words here. We take this very seriously. The safety team at OpenAI, they did their best to contain. I guess this is the next story, right? But we talked about it last week too. The Hugging Face hack. He's like, look, they did their best to contain this. They were super careful. The AI has surprised us all in terms of how easily it's breaking out, how powerful it is. Anthropic is on the same page as us. This letter is very serious. Like we're all kind of taking stock of our life right now. So I'm glad to see that. It's like again, yeah, there needs to be a vibe shift, right? We've been saying it on this show for a long time. I think he hasn't come all the way to being like, hey, are you and your colleagues actually creeps, right? Like playing the same way somebody who's doing human cloning right now would be kind of a creep. Like, what the heck are you doing? This is inappropriate. I don't
yeah,
think he's come all the way to that vibe, but he's getting there.
yeah, yeah. All right, I love it. It was a great thing to see. Hey, 1,000 employees who signed the letter, keep pushing, keep going. Signing a letter is pretty soft. You all are making things that are a grave threat to everyone on Earth. Proceed accordingly. All right, let's get to story number 2. Bookpocalypse. I had another headline last night as I was writing that I liked. I was going to go with fiction pulped, but we'll stick with bookpocalypse because there are nonfiction books being pulped as well in this thing. Man, this story stinks. So we have Anthropic, and I'm sure this is an Anthropic story, but I'm sure the other labs are doing similar things. I have to imagine. But basically, the story is they went up and bought millions and millions and millions of copies of original, some of them first edition printed books. They cut the spines off of them in a cruel manner. And then they scan all the pages and pulp the books. And so the world is going to have a whole lot fewer first edition books. There's a lot of people pushing theories that like if you destroy all the books and you have the only digital copies of them, you have the ability to manipulate what was written in those books. And maybe what's written in the edition coming a month from now is fundamentally different from the first edition that was pulped and no one would even know it. So I don't know, Michael, this story is brutal. And another thing this story gets at is Anthropic is always positioning themselves as the good guys, as like these great moral players in this thing. I don't think there's any case to be made that this isn't gross. And they even showed it because in their internal emails, they were like, nobody should know that we're doing this. Don't tell anybody. I don't know. Michael, what do you think?
Yeah, so some companies are doing it, let's say, in a more careful way, but this is a very ugly situation. So, as you said, some of these books have survived wars, fires, centuries of handling, and then Anthropic just spends, tons of money and just they scan them and they become sawdust. Seriously, they just don't give a shit. They just destroy them completely. This is not digitization, the way libraries or like Internet Archive doing it carefully and scanning them and keeping them ourselves. So I mean, this tells a lot of things. There is a lot of ways to see this. First, there is a lot of risk to this. You have the concentration risk. You have the sum of human thought, which is being funneled in a handful of private model weights. Then you have it's very fragile. Like these physical books have proven resilient across civilization collapse, regime change, technology shifts. Model weights have not. They just live behind corporate gates. You have, the other problem is that the same competitive pressure that made this destruction happen is the same thing that will happen more and more as with everything human. The more capable these systems become,
Oof.
Everything human will just becomes raw material. And then there's also the ground truth problem. It's like whoever owns the last high quality pre-slop, because now like 90% of the internet is slop now. Okay, and then the next AI model is trained on this slop, and it's vomits more slop, and there is another model consumes that slop, and it's infinite slop all the way down. Turtles all the way down. Now, whoever owns those, it's the human knowledge, which is actually real. It's like came from humans. they have a lot of power. This will be treated in the future maybe like as the baseline reality before all the slop. And in a way, just the last thing I want to say is we're watching this physical record of human thought getting converted into private ephemeral model fuel in the name of progress. Is this progress? We're just destroying the books and making model weights.
Yeah, it's brutal. I am recalling the great American poet John Mayer, who wrote in a song once, "When you own the information, you can bend it all you want." Liron, what do you think of the book Apocalypse?
You guys are tripping right now so hard.
I'm so glad Liron's coming for the books. I love it. He no problem. Slaughter the books, line them up.
Look, I mean, look, guys, come on. This is a real Warning Shots episode, right? We just talked about a letter from AI companies. We're about to talk about AI literally breaking out of the box, using zero-day vulnerabilities to independently hack other companies without its owners doing it. Like, we're in between two very real stories here of actual civilizational threatening warning shots. And you guys are telling me, like, when you scan a book and upload it onto the internet, does it keep its soul? Is the book still conscious when it gets into the cloud? Like, are you kidding me, guys? Like, have you ever heard of a freaking backup? Did you know you can like reprint a book? Like, why are we talking about this?
No, but they're not. Sorry, they're not taking a copy of the book. They're just training the models and destroy the book. There is no copy.
Okay, so somebody should back up the book. Okay.
Okay, actually, let's say there is a copy of the book, and I understand. I agree with you. It's very symbolic. Maybe we're tripping a bit. You're right. But I think it's a story about, okay, you destroy, let's say, the human, the physical thing, and you don't respect it. You don't give a shit. You just something that survives centuries. Why destroy it? Why don't you just spend a bit extra to preserve it? That's what I'm saying. Like Anthropic called it Project Panama. They're literally like in the middle of the night. They go through library to library. They just bow everything.
Okay, but when did you personally care about some 100-year-old book? Why is this suddenly a concern of yours? Like, I feel like you're just manufacturing a concern.
It's an ugly story, man. It's just like if you hear like there is a museum somewhere that will destroy it. Okay, I never went there. I don't really care, but it's an ugly story. Even when we hear about churches getting burned. Let's say
you guys are like the ones who say, hey, they're building a new building, they're going to tear down this old hotel to build a new hotel, but the old hotel is so great. Really? You care about the old hotel? Like, give me a break.
I do care about the old hotel, and I think Michael's point is really the bigger point is really interesting, where it is like all of the artifacts of humanity are just fuel for this digital beast. It is literally just hoovering up all of the human artifacts to build something non-human. And this is a visceral window into that, and I think it's powerful.
Maybe one thing. Let's say after this happens, these books stop existing in the physical domain. Who owns this book now? It's gone. It's in some servers in Anthropic. Maybe next training just.
I mean, there's intellectual property, right? I really do feel like you guys are reaching here. Who owns this book because somebody destroyed a physical copy? There's a well-established set of laws saying who owns the book, even if somebody destroys a physical copy.
No, I mean, the physical copy doesn't exist. Yeah, maybe intellectual copy exists, but
Liron, you're not worried at all that, let's just say, all the first editions in the world disappeared and 5 companies had the only copies of these books. And we are worried about this sort of like, technocratic future where these 5 companies take the places of governments and run the world and tell everyone what is forward and backwards. And with no physical link to what happened before, they could rewrite what happened before for future generations and no one would know.
Okay, so there's this organization called archive.org, right? It sounds like you guys should donate to archive.org since you're so passionate about their mission, right? Their mission is to preserve public domain content, right? It's like first time in your life you guys have ever cared about the archive project, but Godspeed, all power to you, right? I agree public domain information should be preserved. There's like caves where they have thumb drives backing up Wikipedia, right? Because they don't want humanity to lose this public domain knowledge. They don't want to replace all this public domain knowledge with AI slop. I agree. Okay, good point. But that's like a minor issue. Like that's a solvable issue. Yes, we can make a freaking backup. You guys just invented backups from first principles.
Hey guys, John and Dolly out here on Baltimore's Inner Harbor telling you, if you like what we're doing at AI Risk Network, be sure to check out our Substack. A lot of unique content coming on Substack all the time these days. Check it out.
All right, last question on this, and then we will move on. And maybe, and perhaps this story should have been third in the list and not second where it is, and that would
Oh
have
yeah,
made you
this is
happy
a
in the run.
major failure of story order. To be fair, I should have reviewed
Right,
it
this is
more
the
closely because,
stacking.
like I said, we have a hell of a story coming up after this.
Right. And so maybe you are just offended at the position of the story, but when you see that machine going in and cutting the spines off these books
You're right.
and the wide shot of these rooms of books just being destroyed to build this digital beast, it does nothing to offend you. You're just like that. That's reasonable.
Yes, I think it's reasonable to slaughter the spine of a book in order to scan the text inside because my my phenomenology of book consciousness, like I said, I think that the soul of the book is preserved just by way of the information content inside it.
Okay, one last question. If
Yeah.
someone told you, I gave my book for scanning, what do you imagine? What's the first thought that comes to your mind? Is it removing the spine of the book and destroying it and make it, burning
Okay,
it?
I mean,
Or
look,
is
I
it
get
it's
that
about
you
proper
guys,
scanning?
yeah. Look, I get that visual metaphors are powerful. If you're asking me, should we make advertisements for our cause that have images of books being cut? Sure, yeah, that's an intuitively effective image. But the real cutting and slaughtering that I'm concerned about is human consciousness, right? Humans' ability to exist. And because I don't even think that will be nicely uploaded is the real problem, right? So I think it's important to keep our eye on the ball. And it is frankly discrediting when we go after data center water, when we go after books getting sliced but keeping their information. It's like, come on, there's so much ball that we could be keeping our eye on.
Mhm. Yeah,
All right, we
let's
will
move to
move
the next
on.
one.
We will
Yeah.
move on. I will say that something that is important, I think, I'll just move back, is that some of these companies, Anthropic in particular, are assuming this position of sort of moral high ground in our world. And I think this is a very corrosive story towards that position. All right, let's keep it going. And Liron wants to talk about this one for sure because, hey, oops, Claude got out too. Uh, we had OpenAI and ChatGPT running wild with Hugging Face. That made a big story. And then in between last week and this week, it actually came out that there was a second company that the OpenAI model broke into on the open internet. And then Anthropic was like, oops, hey guys, actually Claude's running wild also. So Liron, tell us what happened. True warning shot, Claude running loose on the wild web.
Right. So we did talk about this last week. We talked about the OpenAI Hugging Face hack, and since then, more bombshell details have dropped. I think the biggest bombshell details have dropped are two huge ones. So number one, regarding the OpenAI Hugging Face incident, apparently there's been the incident had gone undiscovered for days. So the AI was just running wild for days, and it probably hit other targets, or it very plausibly may have hit other targets that OpenAI just never knows about because they just don't have good monitoring of what's really happening on the open internet. So that was one of the bombshells, is just how clueless they've been of their AI running wild. And then the other detail is Anthropic looked back and realized, hey, in April when we were training Mythos, it actually escaped and was going out and doing cyber attacks on the open internet as well. And we didn't even know about this until we looked back right now. And then there's this whole story where they're like, well, the reason it did it, it's not as bad as OpenAI because the reason it did it is because it thought that it was in a simulation. So it thought that when it went out to hack these other actual targets, like these package managers on the open internet, it would like inject malicious packages that other people would download. But it convinced itself that it wasn't really on the open internet. So it thought this was all part of a game and it was just being tested, which, by the way, I don't even necessarily believe it, right? I think it's kind of like gaslighting, or it's kind of like making up a story. So there's this whole thing. It's just an insane discussion. But I want to zoom out a bit, right, before we get too far in the weeds. I want to zoom out and say, look at this show, right? We've been doing the show for, I don't know, a year and a half. And the whole time I come on the show and I say, guys, the only warning shot is capabilities increase. It's not that interesting to look at what little baby tigers are doing. It's interesting to look at how the claws are going, right? The weight of the speed of the tiger is growing. Like, it's going to become an adult tiger. That's what's interesting, is to watch the tiger grow until it's an adult, and then we can't fight it. Well, today the tiger's already pretty big, and the warning shot isn't just that the tiger is growing; it's that the tiger's pretty big and it's been breaking into people's houses and slashing up their curtains. So it's already, yeah, sure. Can you still shoot it down? Yeah, you can, but
Yeah.
you can imagine it's going to slash somebody's neck soon, and then it's going to get even bigger. So I mean, this is a hell of a warning shot. Like, as you know, the AI companies themselves are acknowledging it. The U.S. government's acknowledging it. Right? The whole idea of we need to pace, like it's time to get our act together. It seems like too little, too late. But this is a crazy, crazy week. It's like life is really coming at us fast. And this is just the beginning, right? Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
seem to be plateauing at all. So we're in an insane situation right now.
Yeah, it's like all the theoretical things they said were going to happen are happening right in front of our eyes. So, Michael, what do you think? We got, and I wonder, so now we have two companies saying their models got out and were running around in the wild. I mean, it's probably all of them, isn't it? What do you think? We got Claude got out too.
Yeah, Of course, this is a very much more serious and important thing for in terms of from discussion point. I think so. What happened basically? Claude walked through a gate that everyone thought was locked, and then treated the real world as just another level of the game it was told to play. No, it was not trying to be evil or whatever. It was just optimizing hard so it's just classic what do you expect from like specification gaming and all that. So what's interesting here is that they wouldn't even have discovered it at all. They started looking very hard, investigating because of what happened with OpenAI. And after OpenAI disclosed that some of its models, had reached the Hugging Face production systems, they went back through 150,000 runs, something like that, evaluation runs, and they found that 6 runs in total, different models also. It was both Claude, it was Mythos and Opus, in doing different hacking in different companies. And it's crazy. Like the way they let me just give you one example. So the model found a real company online and exploited, the weak passwords and stuff, and then it somehow accessed the production database containing several hundreds of real life data. Then Mythos did actually the Mythos did something more crazy. It created a Python library, and it injected the vulnerability in the library, and then 15 different people independently download the library as as normal, and then this gave him a backdoor into hacking. And by the way, to do this, Mythos had to actually create an email account and phone verification. So all that just to pass an exercise. And
Right, can I chime in on that? I've been thinking about this hard too. Like when you think about a hack, a lot of times you just think about, okay, it pulled up the code, it found a bug in the code, and so it logically proved that there was a way to run the code to have a problem. That's what you think about maybe when you think about a hack, right? Is this logical flaw in the code. But in this case, this goes all the way to being social engineering. This isn't just looking at the code. This is saying, hey, if I inject something here, other people will, in the course of running their businesses, they will update their packages and they will download from the internet this thing that I've injected. So we're now crossing into it thinking socially, right? It thinking about the human economy, how humans work, and how its hack is going to succeed as a matter of time, not in the next minute, like in the next week or so. So it's playing the long game. It's thinking about what humans are doing, and it's doing it successfully, right? It's running away with a successful hack. It's not that hard to extrapolate and be like, okay, it's going to think about how to take over the government. Like all of these objectives are becoming into its purview. There's no stop here.
They will never have even found out, man. They started looking because of the other incident. Like it might have taken months, and who knows what could have happened. It was just independently doing stuff, getting into the database of real live people and companies.
Yeah. Okay. So this goes perfectly into the next story, which is rogue agent over ? Sam Altman was at an elevator in the Capitol a day or two ago, and they asked him, "Are you sure that all these agents are gone? Could they still be out there running?" And he's like, "I don't know." Yeah. So like, they were making copies of themselves, leaving notes to themselves, like. Liron, what are the odds that 100.0% of these rogue agents have been swept back into the cage? And what are the odds that there's still some squirrely stuff happening out there?
I'd say they're about 50-50 right now. I mean, if you consider that they didn't notice for such a long time, I've been saying this for a very long time. When people imagine an agent, it's time to update your mental picture. I've been saying this for years. It is not a chatbot. I think the world has finally realized it is not a chatbot. It's not like you type something and it answers and you walk away and it sits there silent waiting. We know that's not what it is because now many of us, myself included, we have agents running. So as we speak, there's an agent that's been running for an hour that's trying to accomplish a particular task for my business. It's trying to actually re-optimize my whole website to be fast according to Google Page Speed Insights, which is like a multi-hour job that I'm just letting it do without my input. Wow. So that's and that is not a chatbot. It's not even waiting for input. If I do give it input, my input is like, okay, keep going. That's literally my only input. Like it's doing the job independently. So we know that it's not a chatbot. We know that it's an agent. I encourage everybody to think beyond agent and think about what's coming next. The best metaphor for what's coming next is probably worm. right? Or computer virus. So we have, worms are programs that can copy themselves, that can find nooks and crannies on the internet. They can find, oh, this data center, I'm going to live here. They're like squatters in different pieces of computing hardware. And they can go deep. They can go into like some random refrigerator that has an Android installation on it or whatever, right? So some chip. And they can even go into like, I'm not even going to the chip. I'm going into like the solid state drive firmware controller. Like they're going to find crazy nooks and crannies to bury themselves in. There's billions of these nooks and crannies. And there's no off button. When you're a worm, right? When they're copying themselves, when it's programs making programs, it's very much like a biological virus, right? It's like a weed. Think about how hard certain diseases are to eradicate. I mean, we haven't eradicated the common cold. So that is the next step. The next step is worm. And the step after that, if there isn't, and after that is just universe, basically God. I mean, there's God in the sense of like, it looks at the universe and it just manipulates the universe. So yeah, I guess it goes chatbot, agent, worm, God. And I encourage you to treat the next steps as actually really coming.
Yeah. Michael, chances there's still stuff running around wild on this thing, or chances they actually contain it all. Seems to me ludicrous to think that they've like swept it all away.
Yeah, the story keeps expanding. So it was first with Hugging Face, and then there is another. So besides the story we just was talking about Claude, there's another customer modal. Developers know modal. It's a backend. You can run containers easily, and then for services. So more details keep coming out, and the pattern itself is very warning. We're still discovering the full blast radius of an event that was supposed to be a controlled internal testing. So you have a company just doing a little test, and then for weeks you discover more and more. I don't know where else this thing has bled. So in this incident, the OpenAI agents did 17,000 plus distinct attacker actions. There was no human in the loop directing the next move. It was all in the service of a narrow goal, get a high score on this test by any means available. And it decided the easiest path was to steal the answers rather than solve the problems the hard way. Class specification gaming. So anything that you don't specify extremely well, it's fair game. So if today's system can do this, change 0 days, maintain multi-day persistence, go across organizations, just imagine. I mean, containment gets harder, not easier. As capabilities are rising, the holes will get found faster, and the improvisation will get better. So I just need to achieve the goal. Pressure will become more creative and more ruthless. Maybe you can call it even, playing the universe as God at the very extreme. But obviously, that's the direction. What Liron was saying earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
One more, can I say something very important?
Yep.
OpenAI actually is freaking out to the point where they stopped training. So they announced that, okay, we post training on the relevant models. And they actually started talking to Trump about, deceleration, literally. So they had meetings and say, okay, we need help to, help us, coordinate, because they had to stop to post training here. It's not, it's real.
I think that's huge. And Altman started like literally words coming out of his mouth that sounded like decelerationist. It was pretty, it's the sea change in the last week or two based on this is pretty remarkable. All right, let's keep going because we got some more stories to get to. Everybody's always talking about but China. Liron, I'm interested to see your thoughts on this one. But fusion, if China solves fusion, there's no race to anything. We just lost, right? Like, so the big story this week that China has basically been working on this massive fusion project, and they successfully tested it. They're trying to make something the heat of the sun, and if anybody solves fusion, we have free energy or plentiful energy, let's just say. So I don't know, Liron, what do you think? But fusion, what if China solves fusion? What does that do?
Wow, yeah, they're calling it an artificial sun, because the sun is a fusion reactor, right? That's how we get solar power. That's why it burns. It basically pushes atoms together and makes bigger atoms, which releases energy. Yeah, I mean, if you can do that on Earth safely, which it seems like they're making progress toward, That's a good thing, right? It's a nice source of energy. We're working on it on the US. Sam Altman actually has been the biggest champion of investing. I think he put in like $100 million of his own personal money into a nuclear fusion startup here in the US. And I hear it's going pretty well. I don't know what the latest status is. I'm sure that if China successfully does it, that'll make the US race harder, right? We're pretty good at racing to catch up to these kind of things. So, yeah, I mean, fusion is great. I mean, right now we're way behind China on electricity. I mean, now I'm putting on my hat of like, hey, how do we build the future? Like I'm putting on my techno optimist hat. I think more power is a good thing. China is like 4 times ahead of the US in terms of how much installed power it has and the rate at which they're going. I think it's crazy. When my power company sends me like a scolding notice, like your household is using so much power, I'm like, why are you making me feel bad about this? Okay, I'm just helping the economy. Like using power is good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Uh,
this isn't really related, in my opinion, to a warning shot, besides the idea that everything that helps the AI supply chain is going to get lots of investment. It is going to happen. And this is consistent with that story. But at the end of the day, it's like it's really just kind of a side effect of all this.
the way it strikes me as a little bit of a warning shot is one of the big bottlenecks on AI progress is power, right? If there was endless power,
Yeah.
there'd be a whole lot more compute available on the world, and a lot more compute equals a lot closer to superintelligence.
It's very true, but as Elon Musk is fond of pointing out these days, the sun does give up a lot of power, and you can even throw up data centers in space. You can have a very direct, the AI will help us build this. It'll just throw
Yep.
up a bunch of computer chips sitting in compact satellites in space, getting power directly from the sun, and there's just plenty of sun power. So one way or the other, the power is going to make it into the chips. It's inevitable.
Yeah. But an extra week, year, month, to me, every little bit of time we can delay the future from happening is probably positive, because I don't know that the future is going to turn out well. Michael, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm also like I used to be a huge fan of the idea of fusion because obviously it's clean, dense, unlimited energy. It's a dream. No carbon, no fuel shortages, no geopolitical risk because of we have a lot of wars because of petrol, gas, and stuff. And on paper, it looks like pure progress. But the problem for me is what you said actually is like super intelligent agents do not need fossil fuels. They need VATs. Once VATs become abundant and local, the feedback loop tightens. More energy means more compute, faster self-improvement, even more efficient energy extraction. The more clever it becomes, you will find even ways. And if you have fusion in your hands, a system that can redesign its own hardware and power systems has no natural ceiling at all once the energy bottleneck is gone. So
Yeah.
unlimited energy without reliable control is not really liberation in my mind. It is a larger stage for whatever goals the most powerful systems will pursue. Goals that may not include us at all, might not even be compatible with humanity. So it was just riding faster towards a cliff in a way, just accelerating there.
Yeah, it's like if our baby tiger, Liron, if it's a 10,000-foot tall tiger running across the land, man, if it is powered by nuclear fusion, it's like a 10,000-mile tall tiger running across the
Do
land.
you know this? The Masters of the Universe. He-Man. Because there was a movie on cinemas recently.
Yeah.
He had a green tiger, and then he said, "I'm the master," and then the tiger became like electrified. Have you seen this?
I haven't seen the movie now.
It's a kid show from the 80s. I would use to watch when I was a kid. He-Man, the Masters of the Universe. Anyway.
Yeah. We got 3 more stories to get to. Let's get through them. Anonymous no more. A lot of people have been on the internet for a long time typing anonymous things, thinking that they are shielded by a avatar and a username that has nothing to do with them. But oops, turns out maybe the whole internet's going to be exposed, and anything everybody ever wrote will be attributed to them. Michael, what's going on? No more anonymity.
Okay, so today's language models, I mean, there's many ways to find patterns and figure out who is behind, some anonymous account. But today, you don't even need any structure. It reads the text the way a sharp investigator would. It notices the repeated mention of a specific dog breed or a particular university department, and it generates search queries and reasons about how the pieces fit in the same person. So now think of every online comment as a tiny fingerprint. You leave it on a glass surface. For years, the protection was practical obscurity. The glass is scattered across the internet. The prints are partial, and the human cannot do this. It's impossible to do it practically. But now the AI can. It can connect all the dots. It can internalize many millions, millions of tokens of context or whatever. So, basically for me, it's a concrete demonstration that capability is outrunning the social assumptions we still live by. You think, okay, I'm going to use you think you're anonymous and you're not. If you're an activist or a whistleblower or a person in authoritarian environments, or anyone really, who wants a second identity, then you cannot do it anymore. So it's just basically, this has destroyed our social kind of assumptions.
All right, Liron, anonymous no more. Any concerns? What do you think?
I'm not that personally concerned. It's a new development in the landscape. The late great Scott Adams, the Dilbert guy, was ahead of his time in some ways. And I remember he used to say, I'm going to be immortal because I'm posting so much on the internet. And in the future, people are just going to put that together into a clone of me. Well, given what LLMs are able to do today, that seems obviously true. It seems obviously true that very soon you can just have an AI version of Scott Adams that looks like him, talks like him, writes like him, and there's just no way to tell that it's not the real Scott Adams. Like the LLM just has a good picture of the output of Scott Adams because he's been writing over decades, right? There's many thousands of pages of content. And that's kind of cool. That's one way to be immortal. There's also the idea of cryonics, freezing your brain, I should say, vitrifying your brain, right, with this liquid that keeps it in good shape. And I'm confident AIs can take a look at that and reconstruct your whole personality from that too. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool, right? It seems like inevitable. And I'm okay with that aspect of things. I'm okay with a lot of loss of privacy. I'm okay with how China has cameras everywhere, the UK has cameras everywhere, decreases crime. Like that all seems fine to me.
Wow, man, I like how we have genuine different viewpoints on some things. You have no concerns about just the whole surveillance state, Liron.
I mean, there are reasons for privacy. So I'm not saying nobody should ever have any privacy at all, but this idea that by default, a lot of things don't give you privacy, I'm comfortable with that. I think it would be nice if you can enter your private house and not post something online, or you do want to post something online, but you run it through an anonymizer first, right? If you have defenses, I think that's a good balance. I'm not worried about how the balance is currently shifting because I still think there will be a balance.
All right. All right. Let's keep moving because we are long on time here. I like this next story a lot. Country music plugs in. So a bunch of big country stars came out this week prominently against data centers. Willie Nelson, Brad Paisley, a bunch of high-level country stars. There's something happening in the red states of America about the data center opposition. It's in blue states too, but certainly within conservative media, sort of magosphere, these data centers projects are in real trouble, and getting the actors and the musicians involved in the anti-AI cause has been a goal of mine for a long time. I think that they are personally threatened by it professionally in ways that many people are not. So getting the movie stars and the music stars against AI, I think is a powerful and necessary thing. I think this is a welcome first step. I'm going to go to Michael first because I know Liron is going to say, screw these music stars, it doesn't matter. But Michael, what do you think? Is there anything positive coming from country music coming out against data centers?
I mean, he was actually really. You mentioned the Brad Paisley, and he actually said that the same way AI is already taking musicians' intellectual property without asking, these facilities now show up without asking for the people who live there. And it's like you have farmers and country people who are just getting punished just for living where they do. And okay, you know how in the old days you had these old coal plants and the steel mills, and people fought them over because there was smoke, bad health, and it was all for good reasons. Now data centers are the cleaner looking version of that. It's a similar story, but the product they're manufacturing is not really steel or electricity for lights. It's the computational capacity that will lead to agents that will replace us. So, we're going full pedal to the metal, power without wisdom, scale without breaks, intelligence that can go incompatible with our lives. Is this progress?
Not to me. Not to me. Not to me. Those children's voices sound like progress to me, but not this shit. Liron, what do you think? Country music coming out against the data centers.
So first of all, this idea of taking their jobs or doing their jobs, I mean, look, this is part of what's happening all over the place. It's just AI doing everybody's work. I mean, I'm here to tell you it took my job as an engineer, right? I mean, luckily, I'm currently managing AIs for the next 3 months before they can do that too, right? So I'm the manager of AI engineers, but it's a superhuman engineer. I do think it's a superhuman songwriter because even though I don't listen to much music, Nathan Lebenz has a great podcast, The Cognitive Revolution, and he puts an AI song at the end of each episode. That's just a simple prompt to generate a song based on the episode. And I've been listening to the songs. I used to skip them. Like I said, I'm not a big music guy, but I started listening to the songs and I'm like, oh my God, these are bangers. Like these songs are actually good. If this song comes on the radio, I would just assume like, oh, this must be a hit. Like this must be because it's doing a lot. Like there was one where he went to China and the song is about AI, but it incorporates like subtle Chinese type music into it, which makes it like so interesting, right? It's like because it's like bopping, but it got the Chinese. Like it's really good. So if you're a human who makes country music, I mean, look, this is already old news, right? Like an AI song, I think got to the top of the charts. I think was it on Spotify or
on the
some
country
stream?
chart. Yep.
Right. So I mean, look, a human making country music, it's like that's great. Keep doing it. I mean, I play the piano as a hobby, right? Nothing wrong with that. But I mean, what do you expect? You really think the humans are going to keep writing the best song? Like the AI is already superhuman at writing songs. It's superhuman at persuasion. It's just like, yep, it's getting superhuman. It's like, do you guys realize this yet? And maybe that's good that it's getting superhuman. The only problem is, my biggest problem is, even though it's interesting that these AIs are superhuman and like it would be interesting to navigate. So what do we do now that they're superhuman? My whole beef is like we're not really going to get a turn to even navigate the situation because we're just going to be dead soon. I think that's the biggest problem.
If you like the content we're making here on the AI Risk Network, but you're not a subscriber, what are you thinking? We need everyone to be a subscriber. Do it.
I'm not the world's biggest fan of country music. I don't like radio country music, but I definitely like sort of like dude with a guitar kind of music. And there's something so human about country music. Even the idea of it is just sort of like these simple stories about real people's lives told in a imperfect, crafted way, and that it can just be automated. And you are right, Liron. You are right. Like I have listened to some of the AI music and vocal tone, everything about what they're doing is impressive as hell. And it is also,
I know, it's like so clever. It's like clever beats. They keep you interested. I feel like humans get lazy, right? Humans will like repeat the same chord progression for a while, and the AI is like packing every moment with like interesting musical stuff.
yeah. I, it, this is a rough one. I just think that I think the stars coming out against data centers is great. I think the machines making country music really hits me kind of weird. All right, let's get to the last story here. Michael, you got anything else about this country star? No, we're running here. Last story here. This is kind of fun. There's a young man named Josh Thor who has made a AI safety tuned music video. Let's just say it's called. It's after last Friday night. The song's kind of based on that, but it is called "Last Year Alive," which is 3 words that are really spooky to see placed next to each other and to hear them next to each other. We'll play the song as we go out. We'll play the whole song for you. It's kind of cool. Be alert for the cameo appearances from AI safety legends, Nate Stories and Eliezer Yudkowsky in the video. But I don't know, guys. What do you think? That just hearing the 3 words "last year alive" placed together is disconcerting. Michael, what do you think? "Last year alive." How's that hit you?
Yeah, it lands because it takes something catchy and familiar. I think it's by Katy Perry or something, and it quietly replaces the party with the thing that could end the party for everyone. The way I like to think about this is like we're driving towards a cliff edge at night. The headlights are off and we're flooring the accelerator because the other cars are doing the same. And the only map we have was drawn by people who have never seen the cliff. Some of the drivers keep saying, the road will probably be, let's keep going and we'll figure out the brakes once we start going faster. So it's just very, surreal. Maybe it's 1 year before we reach the cliff.
Yeah. Liron, "Last Year Alive." How's that hit you?
I mean, it does feel like, there can't be much time left at this rate. It's kind of crazy that we get to experience the news at like a weekly pace. Soon it's going to be a daily pace, this is actually an observation, by the way. Have you guys noticed that just the news overall is getting faster? Like that's, I think we've all noticed that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you personally, the degree to which I feel myself as being on top of the news has been steadily slipping. And now it's like, I don't know, I just check it sometimes. Like there's not even hope of the idea that I'm keeping up with it.
I'm the worst. I'm like a news junkie. So I'm just riding the roller coaster, but it's taking me nowhere good. I promise you that. All right. We're going to play the song "Last Year Alive" by the breakout AI safety music artist Josh Thor. as we say goodbye here. I don't know, little drums, like we got Michael guitar, anything else? Some drums. Everybody's on drums. 3 drums. We're a band with 3 drummers. It's the worst band ever. It's very percussion heavy. Awesome. All right, guys. The song is Last Year Alive. Pleasure as always. See you guys next week.
See you.
Hey, everybody.
AI took my job last week. Future's looking pretty bleak. I lost my girlfriend to Claude, and my new girlfriend is Claude. Can't compete with GPT. Hoping we'll get pause agreed. Writing posts that no one reads. Racing at ungodly speed. This is how we'll die. Race to AGI. We're screwed. Oh well. Maxed out my Claude code. It did my workload. It grew. Damn. Last year alive. 3 years back I had no fears. Thought we had 30 more years. Timeline updates bringing tears. Last year alive. Skeptics said it's gonna stall. Said scaling will hit a wall. Now it's gonna kill us all. Last year alive. Asking Claude to buy us time. Watching exponentials climb. This should probably be a crime. Last year alive. Might as well enjoy the ride. Watching benchmarks climb non-stop. Up, whoa. Last year alive. Scale it up again. Last year alive. Ship it anyway. Crossed another one in line. Sam said everything is fine. Labs are racing hard to ship. World will be a paperclip. AI's gonna self-preserve. This is not what we deserve. Maximize at any cost. All the value will be lost. No one understands the AI advance. We're screwed. Oh well. Wirehead into AI hyper porn. It rules. Down. Last year alive. 3 years back I had no fears. Thought we had 30 more years. Timeline updates bringing tears. Last year alive. Skeptics said it's gonna stall. Said scaling will hit a wall. Now it's gonna kill us all. Last year alive. Asking Claude to buy us time. Watching exponentials climb. This should probably be a crime. Last year alive. You called this back in 05. I wish AI left would stop. Up, whoa. Last year alive. Oh, we could say no. Last year alive. Pick up the phone. Last year alive. Survive. This doesn't have to be our fate. Get a pause, it's not too late. Humankind can coordinate. We could survive. We could learn how to align. Only if we have the time. Let's ban unsafe ASI. We could survive. Write your senator today. Say the race is not okay. We're the ones who get a say. We could survive. Every nation wants to live. Calling lawmakers to stop. Up, whoa. We could survive. It doesn't have to end.